Hollywood es un mundo totalmente diferente al que piensas, las vidas perfectas de los famosos teniendo dinero y éxito, es totalmente contradictorio con las vidas vacías que llevan estas personas, como ya he analizado en otros videos. Los famosos suelen rebelarse cuando no soportan más el control que la élite ejerce en sus vidas. En este video analizaremos el caso de Russell Brand, quien en diversas ocasiones ha revelado su lado humano y ha expuesto toda la verdad que oculta el mundo controlado por la élite Illuminati. Este actor y humorista británico llevaba una vida como la de los famosos que vemos normalmente, casado con la cantante Katy Perry, que es seguidamente utilizada por la élite para controlar la mente de sus seguidores. Pero este hombre la dejó por diferencias las cuales iremos notando al transcurso del video. Su rebeldía hacia la élite empezó hace unos años cuando emitía palabras en entrevistas desenmascarando verdades de nuestro mundo, que él conoce bien por ser parte de Hollywood. Observemos.
Yeah, no, I don't vote.
Well, how do you have any authority to talk about politics then?
Well, I don't get my authority from this pre-existing paradigm which is quite narrow and only serves a few people. I look elsewhere for alternatives that might be of service to humanity. Alternate means alternate political systems.
They being?
Well, I've not invented it yet, Jeremy. I had to do a magazine last week. I've had a lot on my plate. But I say, but here's the thing that it shouldn't do. Shouldn't destroy the planet. Shouldn't create massive economic disparity. Shouldn't ignore the needs of the people. The burden of proof is on the people with the power, not people like doing a magazine. So like they want you to be talking about Justin Bieber, they want you to be talking about twerking. They don't want you talking about fracking, they want you talking about twerking. They want to get on with their job, shut your fucking mouths and watch this shit, you fucking morons. And I know, because I've been part of the charade. But, you know, I'm awake now. Look beyond the superficial. That's the problem with current affairs. You forget about what's important. You allow the agenda to be decided by superficial information. What am I saying? What am I talking about? Don't think about what I'm wearing. These things are redundant, superficial.
And I don't think that we should be continuing to propagate the idea that famous people are magical and special, because it makes people feel that their lives ain't no good. And I don't think we should be living in that kind of fearful paradigm.
How do you imagine that people get power?
Well, I imagine there are sort of hierarchical systems that have been preserved through generations.
Get power by being voted in.
Well, you
That's
say
how
that,
they
Jeremy,
get it.
but
You
like
can't even be asked to vote.
It's quite a narrow prescriptive parameter that changes within the.
In a democracy, that's how it works.
Well, I don't think it's working very well, Jeremy. Given that the planet is being destroyed, given that there is economic disparity of a huge degree, what are you saying? There's no alternative. There's no alternative.
No, I'm not
just this
saying
system.
that. I'm saying if you
Brilliant.
can't be asked to vote, why should we be asked to listen to your political point of view?
You don't have to listen to my political point of view, but it's not that I'm not voting out of apathy. I'm not voting out of absolute indifference and weariness and exhaustion from the lies, treachery, deceit of the political class that has been going on for generations now, and which has now reached fever pitch where we have a disenfranchised, disillusioned, despondent underclass that are not being represented by that political system. So voting for it is tacit complicity with that system, and that's not something I'm offering up.
Well, why don't you change it then?
I'm trying to.
Well, why don't you start by voting?
I don't think it works. People have voted already, and that's what's created the current paradigm.
When did you...
Got to let go of temporary, transient ideas like individualism. The nature of monotheistic faiths, these dead desert religions, is to encode us with the idea that individualism is more important than paganism, ideologies that integrally relate us to the earth so that we know that we are integrally, indefatigably related to our environment, and we live in the service of our environment because self is a temporal illusion. God is not something that's about thinking you're better than someone or a reason to have a war with someone. It's that within us, beneath and beyond our identity as human beings, driven by fear and desire, defined by the realm of the senses and the material self, which is transitory, there is a divine self that is connected to all living things, that isn't part of an infinite source of creativity. You could probably describe that using quantum physics or science if you want. I choose to believe in God because I think what that is the recognition that there is divine beauty in all of us, and if we prioritize that over our own self, selfish material needs, then we will naturally create a culture more in harmony with our planet, and we'll have a chance.
I think it's one of the great sadnesses of more modern life, because of our disenfranchisement and disillusionment with religion, that we don't have access to these ideas. And yoga and meditation for me is a way in the secular world of accessing very, very beautiful principles that will perhaps make us happier at a time when people feel disillusioned with the economy, concerned about the ecology, worried with politicians, don't trust what they're being told on television.
Viendo y escuchando sus palabras hasta este punto, el caso de Russell Brand es muy similar al caso de Jim Carrey, con la diferencia que se le tilda de loco a Carrey porque siempre sus declaraciones no son con la seriedad que las dice Russell Brand, sino de forma más extraña. Por eso la diferencia entre ambos casos es pequeña, pero se nota en las entrevistas que brinda a alguno de estos dos famosos, Carrey o Brand. Eso sí, ambos tienen un mismo motivo en sus palabras, y es liberarse del control de la élite que les dio la fama. Sigamos con más reveladoras palabras de Russell Brand.
So,
you're blaming the political class of the fact you had a drug problem?
No. I'm saying I was part of a social and economic class that is underserved by the current political system, and drug addiction is one of the problems it creates when you have huge, underserved, impoverished populations. People get drug problems and also don't feel like they want to engage with the current political system because they see that it doesn't work for them. They see that it makes no difference. They see that they're not served.
Well,
I say that
it doesn't
the
work for
apathy,
them if they don't bother to vote.
Jeremy, my darling, I'm not saying that the apathy doesn't come from us, the people. The apathy comes from the politicians. They are apathetic to our needs. They're only interested in servicing the needs of corporations. Look at what, ain't the Tories going to court and to taking the EU to court because they're trying to curtail bank bonuses? Is that what's happening at the moment in our country? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, there is.
So what am I going to tune in for that?
You don't believe in democracy. You want a revolution, don't you?
The planet is being destroyed. We are creating an underclass. We are exploiting poor people all over the world, and the genuine, legitimate problems of the people are not being addressed by our political class.
All of those things may be true.
They are true. The line between good and evil runs not between cultures, religions or creeds, but through every human heart. So I recognise in myself the capacity for selfishness, for lustfulness, for egotism, and because I recognise these qualities in myself, I would prefer a culture that didn't celebrate, exacerbate, stimulate the most negative aspects of our species, inculcate them, reward them financially, till we get to a kind of a cultural hysteria where we're destroying the planet.
The reality is there is one planet. There is a certain amount of people on the planet. There are a certain amount of resources on the planet. None of them things are going to last forever. So we need systems in place that acknowledge the reality, not systems that benefit elite, but systems that acknowledge the reality. People need to have access to the resources. Can't lie to people so that people in power can continue to augment and grow their own power and satisfaction while normal people are exploited.
Because the time is now. These movements are already occurring. It's happening everywhere. We're in a time where communication is instantaneous, and there are communities all over the world. The Occupy movement made a difference, even if only in that it introduced to the popular public lexicon the idea of the 1% versus the 99%. People for the first time in a generation are aware of massive corporate and economic exploitation. These things are not nonsense, and these subjects are not being addressed. No one's doing anything about tax havens. No one's doing anything about their political affiliations and financial affiliations of the Conservative Party. So until people start addressing things that are actually real, why wouldn't I be facetious? Why would I take it seriously? Why would I encourage a constituency of young people that are absolutely indifferent to vote? Why would we? Aren't you bored? Aren't you more bored than anyone? Ain't you been talking to them year after year, listening to their lies, their nonsense? Then it's this one gets in, then it's that one gets in, but this problem continues. Why are we going to continue to contribute to this facade? Totally, there's going to be a revolution. It's totally going to happen. I think not only I ain't got a flicker of doubt. This is the end. This is time to wake up.
Estas son algunas de las palabras de este actor, que para mí, en mi opinión es uno de los más claros y certeros en sus palabras contra la élite que actualmente controla el mundo. Lo que me parece extraño es que hable tantas cosas ciertas y no tenga amenazas o esté censurado en los medios de comunicación de la élite. Es algo misterioso, pero sin duda eso no le quita valor a las palabras de este hombre. Te invito a que me dejes tu opinión de este famoso en los comentarios. Si te gustó el video dale me gusta y compártelo en tus redes sociales para que vean las interesantes palabras de este hombre. Si no estás suscrito a mi canal te invito a que te suscribas y disfrutes de todo mi contenido. Recuerda que te ha hablado el origen y te espero en mi próximo video.